Hello and welcome to the Air We Share contest. My name is Derek Jennyjohn. I work with Metro Vancouver in the Air Quality Policy and Management Division, and it is my pleasure to run through the questions for this year's contest, and good luck to all of the schools. Thank you for participating. So we'll start with question 1, and here we go. Question 1. This pollutant results from chemical reactions in the atmosphere involving nitrogen oxides, or NOx, and volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, in the presence of sunlight. Is it A, particulate matter, B, ozone, C, sulfur dioxide, D, carbon monoxide, or E, methane? The answer is B, ozone. As you'll see from this graphic here, NOx, or nitrogen oxides, and VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, are emissions that come from sources like motor vehicles, the burning of fossil fuels for NOx, and VOCs also come from mobile sources and as well from sources like industrial emissions and also vegetation. Those two contaminants react in the presence of sunlight to form ozone. Question 2. Michael is a 15-year-old with asthma who loves to cycle. He is planning a long bike ride for tomorrow when ozone levels are predicted to be high. What can he do to reduce his exposure to air pollutants on his ride? Is it A, avoid riding along busy streets and through busy intersections? B, consider riding during times of the day when ozone levels are lower, such as the morning or evening hours? C, get out of the city for his bike ride? D, A and B? Or E, B and C? The answer is D, A and B. Avoid riding along busy streets through busy intersections. Traffic areas are known to have higher levels of exposure to emissions, so that would be a good idea for Michael to avoid that type of an area. And B as well, consider riding during times of the day when ozone levels are lower. Ozone typically increases as the day warms, and ozone levels increase during those times. So looking for times of the day when ozone levels are lower would be a good move by Michael. Question 3. Being asthmatic, Michael is one of the groups of people who could be very much affected by poor air quality. Other groups include A, people with a heart condition, B, children, C, the elderly, or D, all of the above. What do you think? The answer is D, all of the above. People with respiratory or cardiovascular conditions, young children, and the elderly are all examples of categories of people at risk from air pollution. You'll see in this list some of the examples of the health effects that can be experienced by those people. As well, there's a fourth category of those who are active outdoors, and they often tend to breathe more deeply and rapidly when they're exercising, and there's the potential for more pollution to enter their lungs. Hence, another reason for exercising away from highly trafficked areas. Okay, moving on. Question 4. Sophia is a 78-year-old with COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She walks every day at a nearby park. Before her walk, she checks the Air Quality Health Index, or AQHI, to get the following information. A forecast of the level of air pollution and the associated health risk so that she can plan her outdoor activities. B, activities that she can do when air pollution levels are high. C, medications to take if pollution levels are high. D, all of the above. Or E, none of the above. And the answer is A, a forecast of the level of air pollution and the associated health risks so that she can plan her outdoor air activities. The AQHI is an online resource, and it gives you an indication of what the level of air pollution is in your region of the province. It's measured on a scale of 1 to 10, and it is generally reporting a different level of health risk associated with that number. So you can find the AQHI readings online. This is an example of what you might see. In this case, you'll see that the AQHI is 3 in this area of Metro Vancouver. You can find those AQHI readings online at www.bcairquality.ca for all areas of the province, as well at www.metrovancouver.org/airmap. You can find readings of the AQHI at both of those locations. Okay, question 5, halfway there. Temperature inversion occurs when a layer of warm air sits on top of colder air. How do temperature inversions contribute to poor air quality? Is it A, typically associated with light winds that limit dispersion of pollutants away from an area? B, little vertical mixing, which traps pollutants near the surface and in valleys? Or C, more emissions due to increased home heating during temperature inversions? And of course, 2 more options for you. Is it D, answers B and C both? Or E, answers A and C? And the answer is D, B and C. Temperature inversions contribute to poor air quality because of little vertical mixing, which traps pollutants near the surface and in valleys, and more emissions due to increased home heating during temperature inversions. That's because temperature inversions usually come along with colder air, and we'll find that people are heating their homes and creating more emissions when the temperatures are colder, and an increase in home heating is something that leads to the increase in emissions. So here's an example of a temperature inversion in a typical mountain valley that you'll find in many places in BC, where there's an inversion and an increase in air emissions as a result. Question 6. According to Metro Vancouver's Caring for the Air report, emissions of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide are higher today than 20 years ago, due in part to increased consumption of fossil fuels. In fact, in Metro Vancouver, 60% of greenhouse gas emissions come from A, vehicles and the heating, cooling of buildings? Is it B, cement and other industries? C, marine vessels? D, agriculture? Or E, heavy-duty vehicles and non-road engines? This is a tough one, and the answer is A, vehicles and the heating, cooling of buildings. All of these sources are sources of greenhouse gases, but you'll see from this graphic here that the 2 images on top, light-duty vehicles, so that's cars and trucks, passenger vehicles that we all drive around in on our own or with families and friends, and the heating of buildings, and that includes our homes and as well commercial and institutional and industrial facilities. 60% of greenhouse gas emissions, almost 2/3 of the emissions within the region are from those 2 sources, and you'll see a range of other sources. And it's often included for greenhouse gas emissions, it often includes the types of sources that are burning fossil fuels. So engines, industry, heavy-duty vehicles, etc. They all contribute to greenhouse gas emissions within the region. Okay, question 7. A community's air quality depends on a number of factors that include A, local topography, B, weather conditions, C, the amount and kind of pollutants released into the air? Is it D, all of the above, or E, none of the above? The answer is D, all of the above. Good job to those of you that got that one. So a community's air quality depends on the topography, what the area is like, the weather conditions, of course, whether it's hot and sunny. You saw earlier that the heat contributes to the formation of ozone. It also depends on the amount and kind of pollutants released into the air. And here we go. Question 8. In BC, the most important air pollutant from a public health perspective is A, ozone, B, volatile organic compounds, C, particulate matter, D, carbon dioxide, or E, nitrogen dioxide. This is another tricky one. And those of you who guessed C got the answer correct. Particulate matter is associated with a number of health effects ranging from admission to hospital emergency rooms for cardiorespiratory problems. Includes health effects related to exacerbation of asthma, for example. It could even include premature death in very extreme cases. And the costs associated with all of those health effects for particulate matter are very significant. Question 9. Particulate matter. A, refers to tiny solid or liquid particles that float in the air. B, is emitted directly from wood or fossil fuel burning or indirectly through a chemical reaction in the atmosphere. C, can be inhaled deeply into the lungs and cause adverse health effects, especially the smaller particles that are less than 2.5 micrometers in diameter. D, all of the above, or E, none of the above. And the answer is, again, D, all of the above. Particulate matter includes a broad range of particles, both those that are small or referred to as fine particles, or PM2.5. That's a particle less than 2.5 microns or micrometers in diameter, and that is, for comparison, that's a fraction of the width of a human hair. Coarse particles are referred to as PM10, and that's slightly larger size portion of PM, but still something that is extremely small. And again, the sources of particulate matter are anything that is burning fuel combustion, industrial processes, and dust sources as well. So an agricultural reaction in the atmosphere and erosion of agricultural fields. Those types of sources are contributors of PM emissions. Last question, question 10. Things that you can do to make every day a clean air day. A, make your home smoke-free. B, share a ride or take the bus. C, walk to school. D, all of the above. Or E, none of the above. I can tell you it's definitely none of the above. The answer is D, all of the above. We have a run on all of the above answers there. So making every day a clean air day, make your home smoke-free, share a ride, take the bus, walk to school. All of those are great ways to reduce your emissions and reduce your impact on the region's airshed.
And in other news, what you're waiting for? Who won the $100 from your school? From Burnaby South Secondary, Katarina Pan is our $100 winner. From Centennial Secondary, Harleen Trias. From Chilliwack Secondary, Tolly Smith. And from North Surrey Secondary, John Daniel. Robert Bateman Secondary, Aubrey Verlure. And Sutherland, Farzin Darvishi. Have fun spending that money. And the $1,500 grant prize, the grand prize for the Air We Share contest, goes to Robert Bateman Secondary from Abbotsford. Thanks, guys, for your participation, and hope that you'll do something really spectacular with the money. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you all for participating.